Yo, what's up everyone? Welcome back. Jamie here today. I'm going to be talking about one of my favourite horror franchises of all time, Saw, which was released in 2004, written by Lee Whannell and directed by James Wan. And it was a small budget, but it ended up spawning a massive franchise. Like, Saw came out every single year. If it's Halloween, it must be Saw. And like I said, I love this series, I really do. I love the continuity. I love how like the story just follows on from each film. This film's different than the rest. Like, they didn't really find like, you know, the style of Saw. There's some of it's in here, but this one's more slow. It's more of like a thriller. I still enjoy it, but it's not my favourite. But it's definitely not the worst. Every single week we're going to be going through each film, and some are better than others, but yeah, let's just jump right into it. The movie starts with Adam waking up inside the bathroom. He's chained to the pipe, and there's also someone across the room from him called Gordon, who's a doctor. They both have tapes inside the pocket, and there's like a dead body inside the middle of the room full of blood, and it also has the tape player as well. So they eventually start playing the tape. This is the first time we hear Jigsaw, played by Tobin Bell, and just an iconic voice, man. So good. It haunts you, it really does. He basically explains the rules. Gordon's got 7 hours to kill Adam, or his wife and daughter are going to be killed. And he starts talking about how the body in the room shot himself, like when there's so much poison inside the blood. The only thing left to do is shoot yourself. He also whispers like, follow your heart, and X marks the spot, which will come into play later on. You know, he's just giving them clues throughout. Like, they notice that the toilet's got a heart rate on it, and then Adam starts searching it. And Gordon's like, you find anything? He's like, no solids. But really, he just had to check the top of it, and that's whereabouts it was instead. So he's just like, you know, going through all this shit, and it's not even in there. There's some funny elements inside this film, no doubt. It's more of a dark comedy, I guess. You know, it's not intentional, but yeah, they find saws inside the toilet and they start trying to cut through the chains, but it's too thick, and Gordon makes the observation, oh, he wants us to cut through our feet. And he mentions the Jigsaw murders, and we go into like a little flashback, and we see the first trap, Paul, inside the razor wire cage. Paul basically was cutting himself like too much, and Jigsaw's like, well, if you want to cut yourself again to be able to survive, that's what you're going to have to do. It's got like, what, 3 hours to get out the razor cage, but he ends up bleeding out, and they find him in there. From there, we're introduced to Detective Tap and Kara, and Tap's partner Singh. And, you know, Kerry plays an important role later on inside the other films, but these two, this is the only time you're going to see him, really, apart from the video game. From there, we get another flashback. We got Mark inside, like, the safe combination room. There's a safe in the middle of the room, there's glass all over, and he's got, like, flammable liquid all over his body. He's got to use a candle to go around the room looking for the combination. But, of course, he ends up burning alive, so that's another victim. And Kerry also points out like there's little people, so Jigsaw likes to watch the games happen. And they find Gordon's pen at the scene, which makes him a suspect, so the police start questioning him as well. And Jigsaw's obviously placed that there to, you know, get the suspicion on Gordon. And in a later film, we'll see like how all that's set up, and we're not there yet. But still, like I said, that's all about this series, man. It just keeps building on the story. I love it. It's so good. So then we get an important scene inside the hospital with Gordon. And there's a patient on the bed called John, who, you know, spoilers, that's Jigsaw. Zepp walks in. This is our first introduction to Zepp. He works at the hospital as well, like an orderly. And he says, oh, his name's John. He's such a fascinating person. And then Gordon just sort of mocks him for it and just blows it off. But that's sort of setting it up right there that Zepp has had connection with John. You know, he's probably talking to him inside the hospital, learning about like his condition and stuff like that. So Gordon gets brought in for questioning inside the flashback. They're like, oh, just listen to this girl's testimony. You know, she's the only one who survived the trap. And they bring in Amanda Young, first introduction. You know, she's going to play an important role later on. Amanda starts talking about the trap and how she woke up and all she could taste was blood. And she's got the reverse bear trap on, and this is one of the best traps inside the series. It's going to make a few appearances as well. And like, this is where you see like the first style of the film, like the 360 going all the way around the camera, the quick fucking cuts all the time. It's like an MTV music video in a way, innit? But you know, this is a trademark of the series. It's only going to get more like this later on as well. Billy the Puppet comes on TV and he's, you know, explaining to Amanda, you have to get the key for the reverse bear trap out of your dead cellmate on the floor. But he's not really dead, but she thinks he is, so she gets the knife and starts stabbing, and he wakes up. And, you know, you get the shot of her going through his stomach and all, like getting the key out just in time. She gets the reverse bear trap off. And then Billy comes strolling out on his tricycle. Is like, congratulations, you're alive. Most people are so ungrateful to be alive, but not you, not anymore. And she survives it. Obviously, it's going to come back into play in the later series, but right now, that's the only time we see Amanda, really. Tap brings up that she's a drug addict, and she's like, oh, he helped me, which is, you know, a common theme. Like, John just try and help people, like, desperate people. You know, he puts them through extreme stuff, but it's also trying to teach them a lesson about life. So we go back inside the bathroom and they discover that there's a two-way mirror with a camera on the other side. And then like Gordon starts showing Adam like photos of his family and stuff, and he finds a fresh photo of him like being held hostage, and it tells him to like turn off the lights. So he does, and they find the X marks the spot tile, because, you know, it's like glow in the dark paint or whatever. From there, Tap and his partner Sing find one of Jigsaw's hideouts and they go there. One of the shots here, it's actually Lee 1L, Adam, pretending to be Sing, because like, because the widescreen just shows, like, it doesn't cut off his face, so when you see it, you can see, like, you know, most of his face, and that's Lee 1L doing that, because I guess they didn't have the actor in time to do the shot or whatever. Find Jeff tied up with, like, 2 drills about to go into him, and Jigsaw's coming up. So they're like, oh, let's try and, you know, catch him inside the axe. And Tap's got him on the floor, it's like, put your hands up, motherfucker, turn the machine off. And he, like, Jigsaw starts going around, he's like, I'm sick of people that don't appreciate the life. And then he just slices Tap's throat and he starts running for it. But luckily, he don't, like, completely he slashes it, there's blood coming out, but it's not, you know, it don't kill him. That's what I'm trying to say. So it wasn't lethal, so it must have just, like, grazed him, but still. He's not dead, so Tap's, like, on the floor, Sing chases after him downstairs, and he gets caught by a load of shotguns. They just blow him away, man, right through his head, like 4 or 5 of them. And Tap slowly wakes his way down and he sees his partner, he's screaming out to him as Jigsaw gets away. Tap survives that, and he's been, like, obsessed with trying to find Jigsaw ever since, so he's been, like, you know, I think he's been fired from the force, the police force. He's watching Gordon's house, like, surveilling it, like, all the time. Like I said, they find the X on the tile, and we get the amazing score by Charlie Clausen, and we're gonna hear it later on, but it's so good. It gives me chills most of the time I hear it, especially Hello Zep at the end. That's one of the best themes of all time, no doubt. So they find a box with a phone in it and a cigarette and a note saying you don't need a gun to kill Adam. And basically Jigsaw's trying to tell him, like, oh, the poison blood, you know, on the floor, use it, you know, try and poison him without. Then we get more flashbacks. Gordon remembers how he got kidnapped, like, it's at the car park, and it's a creepy scene. You see Jigsaw slowly crawling out of his car until he abducts him. It's a pretty, that was John obviously, but, you know, it's still pretty creepy, especially the mask and the way he's, like, moving so slowly. It is cool. So they decide to, they turn the lights off and they make up a plan where Adam is going to pretend to be poisoned. So he gets the cig in the blood and they pretend, and he's like, but he gets shocked instead, and Gordon don't believe. He's like, why are you making it up? How could you get shocked? But who shocked him? Well, who else is inside the room? We're gonna get to the twist later on, but, you know, there's one of the signs right there that something's going on. From there, Adam remembers how he got kidnapped inside his apartment. Like, Billy the puppet doll's just there laughing, and eventually gets jumped from the closet, and we'll find out who did that in a later film. That wasn't actually John. The phone rings and it's Gordon's wife, and she's telling him not to trust Adam. So, you know, starting to put the dissension between them two right there. We find out that Gordon's been cheating on his wife, and Adam's been hired to take photos of him. And who hired him? Tap. That's what we find out. Tap's hired Adam to, like, spy on Gordon, because he thinks Gordon's the main suspect, really. And it's something like, it's a fan theory for years, but, like, throughout the series you'll see, like, Jigsaw always has photos of, like, the victims or, you know, the people who are going to be playing inside the game. Like, people thought, oh, maybe Adam did it, but we find out in another series, like, you know, Adam doesn't survive too long, I should say that. Gordon notices Zep through the photos, and I love this line so much. He's like, you bastard, fuck. Kerry always is acting, man. He's British, you can tell some of it, like, coming through throughout, but it's, some people diss the acting side. This, like, Lee 1L's not really an actor, but I think he does a good job, and Kerry does a good job as well. It's just funny. He's like, you bastard, fuck. The clock hits 6, so they're out of time, so Zep gets Gordon's wife to tell him that they failed. And they struggle as Tap comes in, starts shooting. Gordon's hearing all this on the phone, but he can't reach it. So he's thinking, you know, his wife and daughter are being killed, so he's, you know, traumatic. And I gotta say, Michael Emerson's acting right here, the guy who plays Zep, I love Michael Emerson. Like, in Lost, playing as Ben, he's amazing, and this is amazing as well. Like, he's really underrated, Michael Emerson. I don't really see him in much anymore, but he's such a good actor. It's Gordon's time to get electrocuted this time, as Tap chases Zep, like, throughout the house and stuff like that. The phone starts ringing, like I said, and he can't reach it, so he starts cutting off his foot. And this is, like, one of the extreme moments of the film, but it's like Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Like, people think it's really bloody, but it's not that bloody, this, you know. Like, yeah, sure, it's cutting off his foot, but we don't see, like, extreme detail, like, compared to the rest of the films when it gets more gorier. But still, it is an extreme moment. He cuts his foot off, obviously. And then from there we go to Tap and Zep. Tap catches up to Zep, but he's overpowered, and he's shot with his own gun inside the chest. So that's it for Tap. He's dead. But the video game says he survived. But in terms of the film, we never see him again alive. Gordon gets the gun and he shoots at him, but he ends up hitting him inside the shoulder. Zep arrives and he's like, you're too late. It's the rules. So again, like, it's Michael Emerson's acting, man. It's so good. Adam gets up and starts beating the fuck out of him with the toilet lid, like on the head, just cracking him. Gordon stops him and is like, oh, you know, I'm gonna get someone to go and help us. You stay here. I promise I'll be back. So he starts crawling out the room. Adam's left by himself, you know, looking. So he starts searching Zepp's body and he finds tape. And that's when we hear Hello Zepp, and it starts playing the iconic tune by Charlie Clouser. As we learn that Zepp is a part of the game as well. He has a poison going through his system, and Jigsaw has the antidote, and he has to do what he says, basically. So the whole time you thought Zepp was the actual killer, and he's not. And Adam's there shocked, and all of a sudden the dead body rises up behind him. John Kramer ripping off, like, you know, the whole makeup stuff. And this is epic, man. Like, when I first saw it, obviously I didn't see it at the cinema. I saw it like 2006, but I was so shocked when this twist happened. It's one of the best endings of all time, no doubt. And he tells him, oh, the key to that chain is in the bathtub. So Adam gets the gun, he's about to shoot him, and he gets electrocuted. So there's the answer there. John's been sat on the floor the whole time electrocuting him. And we get like quick glimpses throughout the whole film. He gets to the door, iconic game over as Adam screams, and he shuts the door. Man, I love this series. I love this film. It's not my favourite inside the franchise, like I said, but still, I'm going to give Saw a 7 out of 10. Like I said, it's a little slow, and it didn't really, like, find... You know, I prefer the later sequels when they've got more of the pacing going on and, like, the traps and everything. But still, this is a really good film. And, you know, if they never made a franchise out of it, it would probably be better. But for me, I prefer, like, later on. But it's not saying this is a bad film or anything, no doubt. It's an amazing start for the franchise. But it's just, you know... I prefer when there's multiple games going on and we see more of John. Like, John's barely inside this film most of the time. He's on the floor. Toby Bell had to film that just laying down for most of it. So, you know, he's definitely a trooper for doing that. But yeah, next week we're going to be reviewing Saw 2, which is one of my favourites of all time as well. Make sure you like and subscribe and let me know your comments down below about this film. Until next time, peace out in a bit.